Hey guys, great to be live with you again. Well, another train has derailed, this time just on the outskirts of Detroit, Michigan. This train too carries toxic hazardous material. This train too owned by Norfolk Southern, the same company that owned the train that derailed in Ohio. Let's take a look at the footage of the derailment in Michigan this morning. So we're going to catch you guys up on all of the craziness. I went to Mexico to celebrate a friend's wedding. I get home and it seems like the world's falling apart. There's UFOs being shot down, derailments, toxic chemicals being spilled into the environment, affecting millions of people. Let's catch you guys up. So it was February 3rd, actually, that the Norfolk Southern train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. The strange thing in this case is that the company that owned the train, Norfolk Southern, decided to just detonate the toxic chemicals, sending them into the air and water, making the situation worse. This makes zero sense. And the way the mainstream media covered this is just stunning. You would think you would try to, package it up before it spreads any further, put it on trucks or something and haul it to a, garbage site for contaminated garbage where it won't spread any further. But no, instead they said, let's detonate this and spread it into the atmosphere. After Norfolk Southern decided to do the detonation, burn off these toxic chemicals, animals started to die, fish started to die, and the water tested positive in the river for these toxic cancer-causing chemicals in a water supply that supplies drinking water to 5 million people in the Ohio River. This is astounding. So I'm going to show you guys the latest. Senator J.D. Vance, new senator from Ohio, visited East Palestine today. He took a look at one of the creeks there. It's real bad. Here it is.
Hey guys, so I'm here at Leslie Run and there's dead worms and dead fish all throughout this water. So, something I just discovered is that if you scrape the creek bed, it's like chemical is coming out of the ground. Can you come here and let me just show this to people. I don't know if you're going to see this on the camera, but watch this. Just see that chemical pop out of the creek. This is disgusting. And the fact that we have not cleaned up the train crash, the fact that these chemicals are still seeping in the ground is an insult to the people who live in East Palestine. Do not forget these people. We've got to keep applying pressure. That's how we're going to fix this problem. Thank you.
We're going to look at the mind-numbed way that the mainstream media has been covering this. It's clear they still fully trust the government and officials, corporate officials, the same officials who caused the mess, but they trust them to clean it up by detonating it. We're going to look at how they're covering it. Real quick shout out to the sponsor of my coverage, Noble Gold Investments. Pleased to let you know that gold was the best investment class of 2022. Real estate, crypto, stocks, and bonds, gold outperformed them all in 2022. Noble Gold Investments helped thousands of clients buy real physical gold. According to longtermtrends.net, gold outperformed the S&P 500, Dow, and Bitcoin in 2022. Had you invested in the S&P 500 a year ago, you would be down more than 20%. If you invested in Bitcoin a year ago, you'd be down 65%. If you invested in the Dow a year ago, you'd be down 10%. Yes, gold has outperformed them all in 2022, and silver was not far behind. So what are you waiting for? Join the thousands of others by opening a gold IRA or silver IRA with Noble Gold Investments, or you can buy actual gold from them as well. Invest with Noble Gold Investments before the end of this month, and you will bag a free quarter-ounce American Gold Eagle coin with every qualifying IRA of $50,000 or more. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold Investments and their thousands of 5-star reviews. Call Noble Gold Investments at 877-646-5347 for a no-pressure consultation only conversation. Yes, that is 877-646-5347. If you are not ready to invest, download the Noble Gold Investments Gold Investment Guide. Scroll down below and you will find the link in the description box. It's ivoryheckergold.com. For mobile users, click the More button in the link. I know the owner of Noble Gold. He is fantastic. He's going to be coming back on my show later this month. This is a great company. Quick disclaimer, there's always a risk with any investment, but I'm a big gold fan. Gosh, look at you guys in the comments. I'm going to shout out the comments, the super chats. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much, Clint. Howdy, Miss Ivory. Welcome back to the show. That is the U.S. Yeah, the U.S. is quite a show, right? Mexico was just boring. It was just tropical paradise. You come back to America and you got all hell breaking loose. We're like in a sci-fi movie. And we'll catch you guys up on these UFOs shot down by the U.S. government because President Biden addressed the latest on these UFOs today. So we're going to play his sound bites too. Thank you, Kevin. Wow, you're so generous. I appreciate that. Take this 50 and have yourself a nice dinner. And no, that's not 50 pesos this time. That's 50 US dollars. All right. Because as I learned in Mexico, 50 pesos ain't much. They were trying to charge me like 3,000. They had like the US dollar sign and it was $3,000 to get a taxi to the resort. And I was like, and they're like, no, that's 3,000 pesos. And I was like, I don't trust you. If you run my card and I lose 3,000 US dollars, we're in trouble. And anyway, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. It's my birthday today, you guys. Gonna have to birthday dinner after this. But first, we got to catch you up on the madness. Okay, guys, where do we begin? I want to show you guys real quick the smoke plume going through East Palestine after this company that derailed was allowed to just detonate its toxic chemicals, spreading them further. This is it. This is the controlled cleanup by Norfolk Southern. Look how it's going. Yeah, that's something else. Okay, so let's catch you guys up. So there's also multiple derailments going on. We just had one here in Texas. I'm going to play you video from all of them. So there's a warehouse plastic fire in Kissimmee, Florida, that happened yesterday. Toxic chemicals in Kissimmee, Florida. We got a truck flipped with nitric acid in Tucson, Arizona. So chemical spill there. There was a CSX train that derailed in South Carolina. I believe that was on Monday, and I do a video of that. Let's see if I can bring up these clips. Okay, I gotta get these ready. Okay, so let me see. So we have one person dead in the derailment here in Texas. The mayor of East Palestine, he said that it was only yesterday that he finally heard from the White House. Karine Jean-Pierre, the press secretary, was asked about that today. Why is the mayor saying you guys took this long when the derailment happened on the 3rd? And she's saying, well, the EPA, which is a branch of the Biden administration, has been there since the days after the derailment. The derailment happened February 3rd. The balloon, the Chinese balloon, was taken down on the 4th. These two big, strange stories run parallel to each other, and some people think one is a distraction from the other. Let's look at the South Carolina train derailment that happened Monday.
A train derailment in Spartanburg County. Details are limited right now, but first responders tell us some of the train cars came off the tracks. This is near Highway 221 in the Ennery area. We know that CSX officials are on scene and will update you as we know more.
Okay, so CSX. is a separate company from Norfolk Southern. So the train derailment this morning was Norfolk Southern. That really big bad one in Ohio was Norfolk Southern. Both of those have toxic chemicals. It's our understanding the South Carolina one, there's no toxic chemical spill to our knowledge at this time. Now, people are talking about the owners of who owns Norfolk Southern. Turns out Vanguard and BlackRock are top investors in these publicly traded companies. CSX is also top investors are BlackRock and Vanguard, as I was seeing on CNN Money and tracking the stock investors. So that's pretty interesting. I know there's a lot of like conspiracy theories about Vanguard and BlackRock being up to no good, trying to take down humanity. So this only adds fuel to that theory. Texas derailment. Now, this is not far from where I live. In the outskirts of Houston, Montgomery County, there was a deadly train derailment on Monday. Let's take a look at that coverage.
Is over the tracks that run along Highway 59 in Splendora. What we know so far is the train collided with the vehicle and it killed one person inside the vehicle. It appears the crash caused several rail cars to run off the track as well. There is an investigation underway right now. Several roads in this area are closed. A lot to keep an eye on. We will certainly update you as we get new information.
And at last check, they didn't have the identity of this truck driver. Apparently, the truck driver just ran his truck right into the train. Normally, the news would be all over that follow-up, identify who this guy is. But I'm not seeing that yet. I'm going to have to look further, maybe make some calls myself on this now that I'm back in the States and it's in my backyard that this is happening. No word on the owner of that train, who owns the train that derailed in Texas, too. Kind of unusual for so many train derailments. Before we look at the total number of train derailments so far this year, which really seems high, let me show you this very strange CBS News report. This report it's just so bizarre to me because the CBS employees are acting like government robots. I guess I shouldn't say government because we're talking about Norfolk Southern. But this is all too typical in mainstream media because I was assigned to be one of these mainstream media robots myself for many years before I left the mainstream media in 2021. And so Norfolk Southern told CBS to tell the world that they were doing a controlled release, that crews were doing a controlled release. And this is how the mainstream media does their coverage. Crews are doing a controlled release of the chemicals. Now, well, that sounds quite harmless. What happened next was not harmless at all. Animals began to die. The drinking water of millions of Americans began to be poisoned. But CBS did their coverage this way.
It was just hours ago, crews performed a controlled release of some toxic chemicals the train was carrying. Brianna Smith joins us live in East Palestine. Brianna, you got an update on how that release went?
Yes, Jess and David, Norfolk Southern says the release was a success. The chemicals are gone and the rail cars are safe. So a lot of progress has been made, and now they're preparing for their next steps while the evacuation order remains in place. Now, Ohio and Pennsylvania leaders are thankful they avoided a major catastrophe after detonating 5 tankers carrying vinyl chloride Monday afternoon. Huge flames and black smoke billowed into the sky for hours. Specialists took action after they discovered at least one car was at risk of exploding and could launch deadly shrapnel and release toxic fumes. Now, leaders urged anyone living close to the wreckage to evacuate until they can get everything under control. This is what a nearby resident had to say.
Your family and you're bathing in it, you're using it for eating, you're drinking it. We got livestock, a couple horses, and we got pets. And, you know, is this stuff safe to drink?
The Environmental Protection Agency says they'll continue to test the water in the area to make sure it's safe, and they say it is so far. As for the people who had to evacuate their homes, we spoke to many who had to leave behind their belongings, even their pets. Local leaders say air quality levels are safe, but they still do not know when residents can return, but we expect to receive an update at some point today.
So far, the water's safe, they said. They quickly learned otherwise when fish turned up dead JD Vance highlighting the dead fish today. Newsweek covered it just the other day. Countless dead fish. Not only fish, but we've got lots of animals. We've got foxes. Here's this guy, Taylor Holzer. He loves his social media in highlighting his pet foxes. He's been posting all about his pet foxes on TikTok, and sadly, he had to post this update that one of his foxes has now died. Here's a previous post he made. I believe this was on his Facebook. I took this screenshot, and you can see that his fox was healthy and happy. Now he's got one dead fox. He's got one with swollen face and runny eyes, coughing. This train is making my animal sick, he says. Norfolk, are you paying for my vet bills? He just like this past day, he posted on his TikTok all the medicine he's having to give to the foxes that are still alive. And then, of course, we have the chickens who have died as well in East Palestine.
I walked up to the cage, and this is what I found.
Amanda Brashears was going to feed her 5 hens and rooster this morning when she discovered them all lifeless, practically in the same position, with no signs of a predator entering their enclosure.
I'm beyond upset and quite panicked because they may be just chickens, but they're family.
Brashears says her chickens were alive and well yesterday. She believes the smell following the detonation of the train carrying chemicals that derailed in East Palestine is to blame for her birds' sudden death.
My video camera footage shows my chickens were perfectly fine before they started this burn. And as soon as they started the burn, my chickens slowed down and they died. If it can do this to chickens in one night, imagine what it's going to do to us in 20 years.
Exactly. What effect is that having on humans? It's pretty scary for human health. And that smoke plume I showed you guys, I mean, it just keeps going. So this will probably be a long-term story about the after effects of this, but it is just stunning. You saw that CBS report. They were following, copying and pasting the PR talking points from the train company, making the train company look all noble and good for detonating. They said one car was looking like it might explode, so we had decided to explode it ourselves. Does that make any sense? It doesn't make sense to me. So basically, they created their own massive pollution situation. Why would they do that? Doesn't make sense. Okay, so Newsweek covered just how common are train derailments. Let's see. It says more than a dozen trains have derailed in the U.S. this year. The explosive train derailment that recently led to the evacuation of an Ohio town was among more than a dozen reported train wrecks in the U.S. since the year began. Wow. So just in a month and a half, more than a dozen. They break it down really how common this is every year. At the bottom here, it says the Bureau of Transportation Statistics found 54,000 train derailments occurred in the U.S. between 1990 and 2021, an average of 1,700 train derailments per year. While that statistic may be higher than most would expect, deaths from derailments are much less common, with the Bureau's findings placing the yearly average at four deaths from derailments every year since 1990. So there is some context, and I like to add that context because sometimes, we have these influencers sharing things across the nation back to back, and it's like, is the world falling apart? Is someone doing this on purpose? But we have to remember, it does seem like there's a lot of derailments happening, right? Two of them on Monday, South Carolina and Texas. We have another one today. But now that we have the fast-paced flow of information in the 21st century, it can be easier to grab things from across America or across the world and make it look like the whole world's falling apart, when actually these sorts of things have always been quite common. It's just we've been more in our little pockets. But the thing in Ohio is definitely a huge hopefully rare sort of situation. I actually covered a similar chemical spill here in Texas back in 2019, where this raging inferno at an oil and gas facility would not stop burning for a full 3 weeks. Fox sent me there every day for 3 weeks to cover the plume of smoke and flames. You know, I loved the rush of being in front of breaking news. Look at this explosion behind me. And then who knows what effect it had on my health, but my skin, I later saw that my skin was quite damaged from that inferno. And the older, more experienced reporters were saying, you can have this story, Ivory. We know better than to be standing in benzene laden air for 3 weeks straight. So hopefully I'm cancer free. Hopefully I'm cancer free after covering that one. But these real bad situations, they do happen from time to time. Okay, I really want to catch you guys up on this really strange UFO situation with Biden. President Biden addressed the UFOs that his military shot down over the weekend. Here is what he said today.
Including enhancing our radar to pick up more slow-moving objects above our country, around the world. In doing so, they tracked 3 unidentified objects, one in Alaska, Canada, and over Lake Huron in the Midwest. They acted in accordance with established parameters for determining how to deal with unidentified aerial objects in U.S. airspace. At their recommendation, I gave the order to take down these 3 objects due to hazards to civilian commercial air traffic and because we could not rule out the surveillance risk of sensitive facilities. We acted in consultation with the Canadian government. I spoke personally with Prime Minister Trudeau from Canada on Saturday. And just as critically, we acted out of an abundance of caution and an opportunity that allowed us to take down these objects safely. Our military and the Canadian military are seeking to recover the debris so we can learn more about these 3 objects.
Okay, so let's look at a map of where they took down these objects. This Global News made a map, so you can see the one was shot down just off the coast of Alaska. I guess the other one was up in that Yukon territory of Canada, and then there was a third over Lake Huron between the U.S. and Canada. That all those were shot down over the weekend. Then you've got the South Carolina location there. That was where they shot down the Chinese spy balloon. But like Biden said, what they're telling us is that the ones they shot down over the weekend, they do not believe were China related. Again, UFO means unidentified flying object. It doesn't mean alien or extraterrestrial. But was it alien or extraterrestrial? People have been asking this. And now Corinne Jean-Pierre is ensuring us that there were no ETs, no little grays or greens in these 3 objects.
I know there have been questions and concerns about this, but there is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity with these recent takedowns. Again, there is no indication of aliens or terrestrial activity with these recent takedowns. Wanted to make sure that the American people knew that, all of you knew that, and it was important for us to say that from here because we've been hearing a lot about it. I'm not.
Would you tell us?
I'm just, I loved E.T. the movie, but I'm just going to leave it there.
Officials at the Pentagon, when asked explicitly if they were ruling out any kind of extraterrestrial presence, said they weren't ruling anything out. And yet, at the beginning of today's briefing, albeit with her usual winning smile, Ms. Jean-Pierre seemed to rule out any extraterrestrial activity.
I don't think the American people need to worry about aliens with respect to these craft, period. I don't think there's any more that needs to be said there.
Which caused Joe Rogan, of all people, to post on his social media that now he's really wondering whether these were indeed aliens, extraterrestrials from another planet, because you know how much we trust the Biden administration. Anything they tell us, they're typically gaslighting us. They've been gaslighting us on countless issues. So if they tell us it is not an alien from another planet. Now we're thinking it might be an alien from another planet. So Joe Rogan is putting a call out to his people saying, please, let's really get to the bottom of this now, because it really might be aliens from another planet. Which brings us back to Joe Biden today saying, these little things we shot down, they were probably just like recreational things, but we just shot them down to be safe. We're not looking at the debris yet, so who knows? But it's probably recreational.
We don't yet know exactly what these three objects were, but nothing right now suggests they were related to China's spy balloon program or that they were surveillance vehicles from any other country. The intelligence community's current assessment is that these three objects were most likely balloons tied to private companies, recreation or research institutions studying weather or conducting other scientific research.
All right. So Senator Mark Warner, the Democrat from Virginia, he's calling out his fellow Democrat, Joe Biden, and saying, I think some damage was done. First of all, we're all still wondering, why, Joe, did you sit there and watch China spy on us? Well, they made an entire path across our country. You didn't do anything until China had fully collected all its data. And when it was finally over the Atlantic Ocean, you guys decided to shoot it down. So this fellow Democrat's calling Joe Biden out now.
I think there was some damage done by allowing it to float across the whole country. Again, I don't think there was anything about the data that was being collected. But, and I think we are in the process of recovering that. The three other entities that have been taken down, at least as of late last night, none of those materials have been collected. I think the White House is acknowledging that they believe that it was probably benign. My word's not theirs. But one of the things that's become clear is that we have kind of very spotty rules about who has to be notified if you send up a weather balloon, if you send up a scientific experiment group. There is even kind of how those balloons, who they ping in terms of from a data collection standpoint. It was like it was amazing to me. And the way, one of the reasons we know this is there were lots and lots of reports. We now call them unidentified aerial phenomena as opposed to UFOs, off the coast of Virginia, literally for years. And the vast majority of those ended up being balloons.
This story is really confusing to me as to what the government has collected so far in regards to these UFOs, because we had that senator just saying that none of the debris has been collected yet. Karine Jean-Pierre, doing her press conference today, said that due to the weather, it is February. That's a quote from her. It is February. And that is why they're taking their sweet time in collecting debris from 3 UFOs that U.S. government shot down. Yet 2 days ago, CNN had this report apparently showing video of debris that they have collected. So have they collected debris or have they not? CNN says they've collected debris on a small metallic balloon. Very strange. Let's take a look.
These are photos of the Navy moving the wreckage after pulling it out of the ocean. Take a look at that. So let's bring in now national security reporter Natasha Bertrand. Natasha, good morning to you. The White House is now on the record that these were definitely not aliens. Okay, so what's the latest?
Yeah, Don, the White House clearly trying to tamp down on conspiracy theories here as the nature of these objects remains unclear, but U.S. officials still unable to say what these objects are and where they came from.
U.S. officials struggling to explain what exactly the U.S. military has been shooting out of the sky.
We're going to confirm what they are once we have collected the debris.
Appearing to know more about what the so-called objects are not.
We assessed whether they posed any kinetic threat to people on the ground. They did not. We assessed whether they were sending any communication signals. We detected none. We looked to see whether they were maneuvering or had any propulsion capabilities. We saw no signs of that.
The Pentagon confirming for the first time in a memo to lawmakers on Monday that the object shot down over northern Canada was a small metallic balloon with a tethered payload below it. But its purpose and origin, and that of the two other objects shot down over Alaska and Michigan, still unexplained.
Obviously, there is some sort of pattern in there. The fact that we are seeing this in a significant degree over the past week is a cause for interest and close attention.
The mystery deepening so much by the day that the White House felt compelled to announce that the objects are not extraterrestrial.
I just wanted to make sure we address this from the White House. I know there have been questions and concerns about this, but there is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial.
You heard that one. Yeah. So I'm looking at your comments. They investigated themselves and found no wrongdoing. Yeah, that's could be true. You know, this may be our own U.S. government sending these things up there. Who knows? But you know, whatever our executive branch puts out, we have to take with a grain of salt because they are putting out this information with foreign adversaries in mind. And a lot of it is just propaganda. So thank you so much for the super chat. Ian, what is DKK? What currency is that? Fascinating. Thank you so much for the support, you guys. I wanted to show... You guys are talking about Russia possibly shooting down something similar. Well, not only Russia, but now we got Romania. Guys, check this out. We have Upward News reporting Romania and Moldova both reported strange objects in their sky. Romania scrambled military jets and neighboring Moldova temporarily closed its airspace after authorities in both countries reported mysterious weather balloon-like objects traversing their skies. Now, I know that there's been talk in the independent media about this being a psyop that, I mean, literally since like 2021, some independent media members have been talking about there's this psyop coming where governments are going to act like there's an alien invasion in order to get humanity to submit to the government and say that, you know, we'll take care of you. If you give us your freedom, we'll protect you from the aliens, but you have to hand over your freedom. So we just got to keep that in mind. Is this what's happening now? Who knows? But never surrender your freedom in exchange for safety. You'll lose both. Okay, so with that being said, that does it for me. I don't want to go too long today. I've got my birthday dinner to go to. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Biggest birthday gift you can give me is to like, share, subscribe, comment, help my algorithm, tell your friends about my little channel, and hopefully independent news can grow and flourish as we continue to think for ourselves and stand up for our freedom. My super chats have been going international. You said, yeah, I love having an audience around the world. It's great to have all you guys. Oh, yeah. I went international myself. I finally ventured out to Mexico. It was my first time leaving the country in like 15 years. Crazy. I was a little nervous to leave the country, especially after my mom told me not to go to Mexico or I'd get suicided. But luckily I came back alive. All right. Good to be with you guys. And we will see you next time. Hit that notification bell so you can catch my next live stream. See you guys.